Public Schools, serving all 16 of our high school locations. Thank you so much for joining us, either through Blue Jeans or through Facebook Live tonight. We would love to know who's represented here. So if you happen to have a phone that you aren't viewing this on, and you are able to scan this QR code, or if you can take a screenshot of the QR code and hope to fill it out later, we would love for you to tell us your name, the school that you're representing, and what we will do with that attendance list is send it out to our school counselors and teams so that they know you're interested in College Credit Plus and would potentially like to connect or like more information. We have some wonderful college partners that are joining us tonight. So our agenda for today is we will cover the general basics of College Credit Plus. We will then allow our college partners to talk a little more specifically about what their programs have to offer, if there are any special admission standards or applications, and if they have something they want to promote, so a particular class of interest or an opportunity that exists in a CPS building, specifically through their institution. So I will go ahead and get started with our general information. If you have a question tonight and you're viewing on Blue Jeans Live, feel free to email us. That email address is college, COLLEGE, at cpsboe.k12.oh.us. Or if you're viewing on Facebook Live, feel free to make a comment. We do have some moderators watching our Facebook Live comments, and we will do our best to address them throughout the presentation, if not at the end. So again, thank you, and we'll get started. We first want to cover what is College Credit Plus. So College Credit Plus is Ohio-based. As a public institution, we participate. We're bound to participate, but we enthusiastically participate in allowing students to earn both high school and college credit at the same time. Students enroll in college courses and are expected to follow college policies and procedures, and they are earning credits toward high school graduation while also starting their path to degree accomplishment at a college partner. Again, if you're just joining us, feel free to scan that QR code and let us know that you're here, and it'll be on a couple of slides to follow. So who can participate in College Credit Plus? The program can span any student in grades 7 through 12, and you can apply to any public college or participating Ohio private college. If you're unfamiliar with what is a public college or what is a private college, some examples of where students have typically taken classes from are Cincinnati State Community and Technical College, the University of Cincinnati, Sinclair Community College, Chatfield College, Miami University, The Ohio State University, Clark State Community College, and Wright State University. And a few of those partners are here with us tonight to talk about their specific programs and how you might be able to take their classes. The other piece that I want to make sure is clear here is you can actually apply to multiple colleges and take classes from multiple institutions. So you might take a class with Cincinnati State over the summer and a class with UC in the fall. And that is an option when you're taking College Credit Plus coursework. Something we want you to think about as you as a family member or you as a student are thinking if CCP is a good option or right for you is being college ready. What does it mean to take some college classes? We want you to be ready for the academic challenge. So if you go to your high school classes and you're like, wow, I could really take on more work. I'm not pushed to my limits yet. CCP could be a really good option for you. We also want you to be someone who's emotionally and socially ready to do college classes a little more independently. So we want you to be able to advocate or talk to a professor or be able to participate in group work. So a lot of college classes are group work based, and you'll be working potentially with college students that are maybe a few years older than you. We also want you to work on or demonstrate good time management skills and organizational skills, and to ask for help when it's needed. A lot of times with college classes, the professor won't come to you if you aren't doing well, or if you aren't turning in homework, or if you maybe failed a class or failed a test. You as the student have to go and advocate for yourself. So having that skill set is really important to being successful in college coursework. How do you qualify for College Credit Plus? So if you are ready, socially, emotionally, and academically, there are a couple of different ways that you can qualify for College Credit Plus courses. The first that we anticipate for next academic year is your grade point average. So currently, the rule states that it's a 3.0 unweighted cumulative grade point average, although the state is reconsidering this and may lower it. It's something that we will continue to update the Cincinnati Public Schools community about if and when that guidance comes out. The other way that you can qualify for College Credit Plus is through what's called a College Ready Test Score. So this could be an ACT score, something called AccuPlacer, or colleges sometimes have a self-designed test. The important thing to note here is that when you apply for College Credit Plus, the college will let you know what they require. And oftentimes it's on the college's website, what they want you to meet, what standards they have for admission into their program. We also want you to know what you can take. So there are so many more classes available in a college setting than there are in a high school setting. So in a high school, you might have English or social studies or US history. But at a college, you have things like psychology, philosophy, anthropology, these subjects you may have never even heard of before. So college academic advisors are there to help you sort through those options, to get the academic experiences that are of interest to you, to play on your strengths, and to make sure you're taking classes that are of interest to you and that also meet your goals. We also want to note that some classes have prerequisites, which are knowledge bases or courses or maybe even grades that you have to have prior to taking that class. Again, a college academic advisor is the best place to go. We also want you to lean on your high school counselor in order to know what you need for graduation, what is going to fit best with your plan after high school. So maybe you're interested in being a lawyer, or maybe you're interested in going into education, or a wide variety of other things. We actually had someone who recently wanted to go into an apprenticeship program and needed their general education classes in order to make that apprenticeship go faster. So talking with your high school counselor in addition to your college advisor is the best way to pick classes that are going to fit with your goals. Here are some top classes that Cincinnati Public School students have taken in the past and how they impact high school academics, graduation, and also just in general your college record. So college classes are in a semester-long format, which means that from around August to around December, you're taking content that essentially counts for an entire year worth of high school credit. So one semester of a class like English composition, which would be typically required for any college degree, actually equals a year of high school English. Additionally, the state of Ohio wants us to recognize that when someone is taking college level classes, they're demonstrating competency in that subject, or what Ohio graduation standards call competency, which is one of the ways that you can prove you're ready to graduate from high school. The same thing for mathematics. So these are just some general classes you might see, or some classes we typically see College Credit Plus students taking: quantitative reasoning, statistics, college algebra, pre-calculus. One semester of each of those classes counts for a whole year of high school mathematics. It also can count for that math competency, which is, again, required for high school graduation. You might take a science class. If you take a science class with a lab, there is a new graduation requirement called graduation seals. If you've not yet talked with your school counselor about your graduation path or how you plan to be on track to graduate from high school, just know that College Credit Plus can really play an important role in allowing you different options and pathways to earn these required seals. I believe the class of 2023 is the first class that requires 2 graduation seals in order to graduate. And so this is just an additional way that you can earn those seals with 1 semester's worth of coursework. US history and American government offer an additional option to get a citizenship seal. And then any course in information technology or computer science are also eligible to earn a technology seal toward graduation. So College Credit Plus classes in general are a great way to not only start your college journey, but also to earn really important things that you need in order to leave high school on the best possible foot. If you're curious about how these classes look on your high school or college transcript, they are college classes. So you are starting a college transcript. You do have to successfully complete the courses in order to earn the credit. But if you're unsuccessful in earning the college credit, it is transcribed on both your high school and your college record. We really encourage students to pursue something in college called a withdrawal, which is basically where you opt out of getting a grade for the class. You opt out of the credit for the class at a certain point if you do not believe you're going to pass, or if you're not in a position where you could pass the class. So just so you're aware, even F and W grades do count on both your high school and college transcript if you are not successful in earning the college credit plus credit. We also want students to know that when you're applying to college for the first time, so you are a senior, you have some college credit plus classes, but you have chosen to go to an institution for undergraduate to study the degree of your choice, you want to make sure that you're requesting your official college transcript to go to that college you intend on going to. So they will be recorded on your high school transcript, but colleges will not give you what's called transferable credit or your college credit for those classes until you request your official college transcript. Most College Credit Plus programs, or most of the college partners we work with, will send you an email toward the end of your senior year that lets you know how to request those transcripts and the process to go through in order to do that. I also do want to note that when you apply to college, even if you've taken a lot of College Credit Plus classes, you're still considered a high school student. So you want to apply to college as a first-time freshman student, not as a transfer student. These classes do not count as you being a college student in that way. And you may miss out on scholarship opportunities if you fill out the wrong college application. So you still are applying as a first-time freshman when you apply to college after you graduate from high school. So where and when can you take these classes? So you can take these classes in summer, in fall, or spring. Students in 12th grade cannot take the classes the summer after they've graduated, but any of those semesters are eligible for College Credit Plus courses. And then you can take the courses in your high school building, and we'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide, on a college campus or online if they're offered through a particular college partner. We actually have 45 what we call embedded course options within Cincinnati Public Schools, and that list is published on our website. And so this website is on this slide, but you can also do a quick search on the internet for College Credit Plus Cincinnati Public Schools, and it'll be that first hit for you. We currently offer CCP classes at Aiken, Clark, Gamble, Hughes, Taft, SCPA Schroeder, Western Hills, Withrow, Walnut Hills, and Woodward, and we do plan to offer College Credit Plus in 2 new buildings next year, which are Euler and Riverview. If your school location does not offer College Credit Plus and you'd like to see it offered, please do email us at college@cpsboe.k12.oh.us, and we'll be sure to get in contact with your school and internal leadership team to let them know there's a desire to offer College Credit Plus within their building. And do our best to establish pathways to make that happen. Again, we have 45 different options that are in the high school buildings. So if you're really curious about what subjects those are they offered in a year-long format or a semester-long format, and all of those sorts of things, you can explore our website where we have the full list of all of the subjects that are offered, and it's broken down by school. So let's say you've determined that CCP is right for you, you want to move forward, and you are ready to get the process started. Your first step is to make sure that you're eligible for the program. So in order to be eligible, you do have to be a student between grades 7 and 12, and either need that assessment exam score, which we had talked about, or a qualifying grade point average. If you're interested in those eligibility assessments because you know you're a little far away from the 3.0 grade point average, or as I said, the state may be considering lowering it, we're still waiting on some guidance this spring as far as grade point average. The ACT, SAT, AccuPlacer, ALEX, there's actually a whole list, can determine your eligibility. Each of our college partners uses a different means in order to determine eligibility, so please look not only at our college partners who are here tonight, who will tell you what those eligibility standards are, but also feel free to peruse their websites. Most I think all of our college partners have great, really robust College Credit Plus websites that'll tell you what you need in order to qualify, how to submit that, and where to start your application. Again, just as a note, they haven't determined final eligibility for 2022, but we do expect that soon, and it may be the 3.0, or it may be some kind of combination of a little bit of a lower GPA with a recommendation or some additional measures. So we will publish that on our Cincinnati Public Schools CCP page as soon as we are aware. And then as far as what the next step is after they participate, the next step is college admission. So students must apply for college admission in order to be able to earn the college credits that they're enrolling in. And that's if they're taking the class in their high school, if they're taking it online, or if they're taking it on the campus. Every single avenue that we have for offering College Credit Plus does require that the student apply to CCP at that particular school. There are several different forms that are required as part of the application. So the first is a form you actually submit to us at Cincinnati Public Schools, and it is the letter of intent that's available on our website. If you have questions or concerns about that, you are more than welcome to contact your school counselor, and they can direct you to that specific form. The next piece is, again, the CCP application on the college website. Every year we have students who fill out the freshman application, so they're applying to the college as a first-year student. That is not the correct application. You just need to make sure that you're filling out the CCP application because you're still a high school student and you want us at Cincinnati Public Schools to pay for your experience in CCP. It will ask you personal information. You also want to make sure that you're talking with your school counselor because they have to send your transcript. They also have to send oftentimes what's called a counselor authorization form. And then there's two additional things that you want your parent or guardian to participate in. One is the mature content form, and then you'll also have a mature content questionnaire that's required in order to participate. So again, this is kind of just a breakdown and reminder that not all colleges have the same admission standards. We have some colleges with more accessible admission and some with more competitive admission. Our colleges do have the final decision on who takes College Credit Plus classes. And again, at the end of this general information, we'll have our college partners talk about what they require to be admitted into their program. Finally, after you've completed the application process, you know that you're eligible, you will register for classes. Course registration does look different if it's happening in the high school building versus if it's happening on a college campus. Typically in the high school building, we have our school counselors that facilitate the registration process for you. But if you're taking it on a college campus, you will go through an orientation, an advising session, and usually an individual appointment in order to get your classes where you actually talk and converse with a college advisor before you're able to register. So if you're curious about what courses you can take, and I know we talked about top courses and what students may take and how it impacts high school record, but here's some tiering out of goals that you can meet with College Credit Plus courses. The first goal should always be high school graduation. You want to make sure that what you're taking in College Credit Plus aligns with what you need in order to graduate from high school. Because if you don't graduate from high school, you're going to have a lot more problems getting into college later. The next goal is, let's say you've met all of your high school graduation requirements. Start working on your first semester of college and completing the 5-ish courses that you may take to shorten your length of degree. That's really where you're going to see a huge impact on this program. And it may be in a couple of slides, but if I haven't emphasized it yet, this program is entirely free. We pay for your tuition, we pay for your books, we pay for any fees that are associated. This is a program that is at little or really no cost to you. We at Cincinnati Public Schools are also really committed to breaking down barriers to you accessing these classes. So if you need a laptop, a Wi-Fi hotspot, a bus pass to get to and from your classes, those are all things that we are willing and able to provide, and you can request those items on our CCP website. So once you've completed your first semester of college, Maybe you complete your first year of college, right? So that's roughly 10 classes in College Credit Plus. And that's something that, depending on when you start your College Credit Plus journey, could very easily be achieved. And then finally, every year we have students that either complete certificates or associate's degrees. So last year we actually had 4 students from Cincinnati Public Schools who earned an entire associate's degree, which is roughly like 31, 32 classes worth of content. And those are students that started their CCP experience really early, were really committed, took classes over the summer, but just know that if it is something that you really want to do, you want to save money on college tuition, you want to save time after high school and earning your college degree, it is something that is achievable if you are interested in setting that goal for yourself. Another thing to really think about as you're doing your course selections is if there are particular careers of interest to you or certifications of interest to you, you can start those now. And so examples of what other students have earned in the past are EMT, LPN, interpreter training, leadership certificates, again, associate's degrees. These are all things that past Cincinnati Public School students have been able to accomplish and do in their time utilizing the College Credit Plus program, and it's been at absolutely no cost to them. One of the things the state wants us to emphasize is that there are certain limits to what classes you potentially can take when you start your College Credit Plus journey. They do want your first 5 courses to be classes that are considered transferable, things that could lead towards a certificate, potentially courses in study skills, academics, career success. Really, the majority of college classes are on the table for you. The only time that you get into the weeds is if there is a program that requires admission standards. So it's a selective program for admission, or they require a certain age in order to take the classes. The other thing is there are certain classes that are off limits, which I believe is on the next page. If you're interested in a list, like what are these college classes called? So I know I mentioned anthropology and philosophy and sociology, like these words that you may not see in everyday high school curriculum. There are some great resources online. I know that you're not going to be able to necessarily like type these in, but these slides will be shared after the fact. They'll be uploaded to our website. So if you're looking for live links, you can access them there. You can also search on the web for whatever college you're interested in. And then these classes are called Level 1. So you can always search, for example, University of Cincinnati Level 1 CCP classes, and it'll bring you to that list, that course list of what classes are eligible if you really want to explore what are these classes called and what are they about. And then again, these are the classes that are not allowable. So some of the only things that we don't cover are private instruction classes, courses with really high fees. I think there's like a flight training program at the University of Dayton, for example, where the fees to learn how to fly are really high. You can't do study abroad, physical education courses, pass-fail remedial courses, which are basically courses that are below college ready. They basically want you to take those classes at high school. And then technically you are limited to about 15 college classes per academic year. And so if you exceed those 30 hours, they are not covered by the College Credit Plus program. Again, just make sure that you're aware our CCP grades are recorded both on a college record and a high school record, and they're weighted at the same GPA weight as similar advanced placement classes. So if you're thinking about how this will impact your grade point average or your class rank or your weighted GPA, they're weighted at 1.5 or similar to an advanced placement class. All right, I know this is a lot of talking at you, so please be, reinvigorated by the yellow text. There are some differences between high school and college, especially when it comes to tests, study time, what you're doing in class, writing, reading, how parents can be involved, and what accommodations for abilities and what kinds of 504 IEP accommodations can be made. So high school has many frequent tests, usually covering less content. College is less less testing and more content per test. Study time, sometimes I hear high school students don't study at all for their high school classes, right? Or they're maybe studying a minimal amount and doing the majority of work in their classroom setting. Sort of flipped when it's in college. You might do very little work during the week, but a lot of work outside of your classroom hours. Oftentimes in class in high school, you're reviewing the content first and then doing homework. In college, it may be the first time you're seeing content when you do your homework, and then you'll review that content in the classroom. So it's a lot more independent learning. Your writing will increase, your reading will increase, so you might move from 5 to 15 pages per assignment to 20 to 40 pages per reading assignment. And then parents will drive decision and own high school records, but when you take College Credit Plus classes, there's actually a policy called FERPA, that prevents parents from accessing their students' records. So student has to drive decisions and owns their college record, and it's up to that student to divulge information to their parent or guardian. And then as far as accommodations go, it's really important for students to advocate for themselves and connect with the appropriate offices with the college in order to access things like extended testing, a different testing environment, or a note taker, or anything like that. So looks a little different if you're someone who currently uses a 504 IEP. That was a lot of logistics. So let's talk about the perks. Like, why would you want to take College Credit Plus classes? So you're earning both high school and college class credit at the same time. So you're, making progress toward both sets of goals in a very short period of time, and that's great. It's obviously saving you time, but really saving you money. You're getting a head start on your career planning and degree attainment. It is so much easier to decide, hey, this course is not for me in high school than to start a college degree and change majors multiple times based on your experiences. You get to experience college early, save on tuition and textbook, again, completely covered by Cincinnati Public Schools on your tuition, your fees, your textbooks. You pay nothing to participate in this program. And then the other big thing that I want to emphasize is that when you take entrance exams for colleges, or when you're taking the ACT, oftentimes those test scores can determine what your first semester of college coursework looks like. So if you are someone who performs really well in a classroom and doesn't perform particularly well on tests for one reason or another, starting your College Credit Plus journey a little earlier can allow you to really demonstrate that you are ready for college, that you can accomplish the coursework, and then you are not relying on test scores to determine that what your college journey looks like, right? You're demonstrating that you're capable of the work now, which can really help you with college admissions. It can really help you with college placement, so what classes you're taking when you get to that full-time college experience. We also want you to know that students who participate in CCP in general have really good outcomes for college. So students are making it from semester to semester after they go to college at a higher rate. They're achieving their degrees at a higher rate. So experiencing college early can give you a lot of confidence in accomplishing your college goals later on. We also want you to know that college clubs, resources, and services are available to you. So if you are a CCP student at a particular college, you're able to join clubs at that college. You're able to experience anything that a college student might experience on that campus. And then 91% of our students who take CCP are successful in earning the college credit that they attempt. So all of this might seem and feel a little bit scary, especially talking about the difference between high school and college classes. But the vast majority of our students are successful in earning the credits that they attempt in this program. So you are among a group of really strong, competent scholars, and there's a demonstrated record of success with this program. So now that I talked about the perks, I unfortunately have to talk about the consequences. So please just know that there's a lot of myths and rumors about if you withdraw or fail a class, there's financial consequences and you have to pay the tuition. Cincinnati Public Schools does not charge students for withdrawing or failing classes. That doesn't mean that there's no consequences for withdrawing or failing classes. There are, right? Your academic record is impacted. There's also something you have to maintain as a college student called satisfactory academic progress. And when you have multiple failed or withdrawn classes, that can sort of compromise that ratio for you. And if you're ever someone who takes out loans or grants in order to pay for college, those withdrawals and fails could potentially cause some issues down the road, right? Not one or two, but let's say you withdrew from 8 classes, like that could really create some negative impacts. We also, think it's important to emphasize that these college records are permanent. They follow you wherever you go. So even if you take the college credit plus classes at Cincinnati State and decide to go to Notre Dame in Indiana, those classes still follow you, right? They're a permanent record. You have to report that you took those college classes. So just know that you are starting a permanent record, and it's important. And then finally, if your grade point average in college ever dips below a C average, so below a 2.0, you can be placed on probation or dismissal for College Credit Plus, which basically limits what you can participate on in the future. That's really just to make sure we're protecting your academic record and that you aren't putting yourself in those negative financial aid situations in the future. So all of that to say, again, 91% of our students are successful in earning their college credit. On the whole, we have students with really, really high grade point averages in this program. But if you are not successful in the program, there are some consequences. So again, no cost. So we make sure that you can participate in this program absolutely free to you. We'll also help you with transportation expenses. The only caveat of that is that some private colleges or universities are allowed to charge a small additional fee to take CCP classes. If you're unfamiliar with if a college is private or public, you're welcome to reach out to your school counselor. They could let you know. Usually you can look on the college's website and it'll say whether it's a private or public institution. But in our region, like in the Cincinnati region, so Chatfield, who's a private school on this call, they don't charge a small additional fee. And then the other private colleges that are in our area, Mount St. Joe and Xavier, they actually don't participate in CCP. So I've never seen someone from CPS participate and have to pay a fee at a private college. Just know that that's the law and they can. There also is an option, so like if you are someone who wants to take College Credit Plus but you don't want it recorded on your high school transcript for one reason or another, there is an option to do what's called self-pay. It's something you have to opt into. You have to tell the college that you want to be someone who is self-paying, or option A. The default is that we as the district pay for your classes. They're recorded on your high school transcript, and that's all she wrote. But if you are someone who doesn't want it on your high school transcript, there is that option, and you have 14 calendar days from the start of college classes to determine that option. Another good point in here is that you actually have 14 calendar days from the start of the semester to also decide you don't want to take the CCP class without any kind of record being created. So it's called a no fault policy. And so if you start a CCP class and decide like, this isn't for me, there's 14 calendar days from the start of that class that it's a no fault period, and it's like you never took the class at all. It never appears on any kind of record. If we have any athletes listening, there are certain requirements to be athletically eligible. One of those is you have to be enrolled in 5 classes, regardless of what those classes are. So if you are someone interested in College Credit Plus, we do encourage you to split your schedule between high school classes and college classes, so you aren't enrolled in a full set of 5 college classes, and then also taking athletic practices and evening commitments and trips and those sorts of things. When you graduate from high school, I know I mentioned the importance of requesting your college transcript, but to break that down a little bit further, if you are taking CCP classes from the college you plan to attend after high school, wonderful, no additional steps needed. They have your record, you don't have to request any transcripts. But if you take CCP classes from a college you don't plan to attend after high school graduation, you will request your official college transcript to go to that new intended college. All public Ohio colleges must accept credit for CCP classes that fit the first 15 rules, so those level 1 classes that I talked about a few slides ago. And then additionally, all colleges that offer CCP classes are accredited, meaning that most of the classes will transfer to your intended college, even if it isn't an Ohio public college or university. But if you're really curious about if those classes will transfer or more likely how those classes will transfer, you can always look at places like transfercredit.ohio.gov, or you can contact the admissions office at the college you plan to attend after high school graduation, and they'll let you know how those credits might be evaluated and how they could apply toward your intended degree. One more time, this is how you get started. Letter of intent, that is available on CPS's website. The next thing is applying to the college. Deadlines vary. If you want to take classes this summer, it's usually an April 1 deadline, usually a May 1 deadline for fall. But again, our college partners will talk about their deadlines. Your transcript must be sent. Sometimes test scores are necessary. The counselor authorization, mature content form, and mature content questionnaire. So, I think I stayed 36 minutes. I tried to stay within 30 minutes. But if you have questions, we have great additional CCP resources, not only the state website, but our own website. You're also more than welcome to email me and the team that I work on at college at cpsboe.k12.oh.us. If you did put any questions in the chat, we can pause now, and I'm happy to address those, and then we will launch into talking with our college partners. I'm going to stop my screen share and see if there's any questions. Devon, did we have any questions from Facebook? Or Tisha?
There was one. Somebody did ask if they need to go to college to take the classes.
So the answer to that is no. They can, but there are also 45 different high school in-building options that we offer at Cincinnati Public Schools. So for example, if you're a student at Hughes, we offer anatomy and physiology, English, and mathematics, and those are all offered in the Hughes building during the Bell schedule. So they're technically taking the college class. It's sponsored in that case through Cincinnati State, but they don't actually have to travel to Cincinnati State in order to take that class. So if you're curious about where those options exist, they are posted on our CCP website, and it's a full list of which high school we offer it at and what subjects we offer in that building.
Awesome, and we actually have one in the Q&A. If you apply for CCP to one college, can you apply to another college later and have that CCP still count for that college?
Yes, I think I understand that question correctly. So let's see if I can apply to CCP one, but can you apply to another college later and CCP still counts for that college? So yes. So let's scenario this. You take your CCP class with Sinclair Community College, and then you decide to apply to the Ohio State University. What you will do is you will ask Sinclair Community College for your transcript to get sent to the Ohio State University, and the Ohio State University will evaluate that transcript and apply those credits to your Ohio State University transcript. So you have to request your official transcript from wherever you took the CCP class to go to whatever college it is that you're choosing to attend after graduation. And yes, it still counts. The only thing that some students have been disappointed by is private colleges often have more strict transfer agreements, so they may not be as willing to recognize credits from other institutions as perhaps public institutions. Anything else? These are great questions that I very much appreciate.
I have one more. If you take the classes at the college, will the classes be with other college students or other CCP students?
Most of the time they'll be with other college students. There may be, and I'll also, it looks like Cincinnati State is next. And so I think that if last year, for example, we had 622 students take College Credit Plus classes. About 450 of those were taking classes at Cincinnati State, so they're definitely our largest partner in this space. And And so Lori maybe can address it a little bit better, but in general, you're taking those classes with other college students. So it could be a wide range depending on which class you choose. If you're taking like an intro-level English class, likely it'll be other 17, 18, 19-year-olds typically. But if you're taking something like an engineering class or potentially like an EMT class, it'll probably be a very wide range of students that you're taking classes with. And they'll all be likely college students. Some might be CCP students too. All right. Well, I will reshare my screen so that our Cincinnati State partner, I'm assuming Lori, you're ready and reeling to go. So I will drive the slides for you. Let me know if I'm going too fast or going too slow. Yeah.
Danny, sorry, this is Javon. There is another question. It just says, does the CPS class list say when courses are offered? And I think that's saying like as far as term, like spring, fall, summer. I think that's what that question was getting at.
So like, does the list that we say, like, for example, Aiken US History, does it say when it's offered? The answer to that would be no, but if you talk with your school counselor, they'll let you know if it's a full year class, a semester class. I will say most of our high schools block the College Credit Plus experience to be a full year. Whether they're offering 2 classes in that full year or 1 class in that full year is dependent on the school. So again, let's use Aiken as an example. English class, I think Bell 4 all year, and you're only earning college English, so 3 college credits for that full year. But they offer a math sequence where semester 1 in Bell 5 is college algebra and semester 2 is college trigonometry, and you're earning 6 college credits throughout the year, but your Bell 5 is all college math. So your schedule doesn't change typically across the year. You're always taking classes during the same Bell, but it sometimes depends on if you're earning like 3 college credits or if you're earning like 6 or more college credits. I hope that answered the question. And then I am going to reshare and Lori, let you talk about your slides.
Great, thank you. Hi, everybody. Excuse me, I'm hoping everybody can hear me okay. My name is Lori Cox Bishop, and I am in charge of the College Credit Plus program at Cincinnati State. I've only got a handful of slides to share with you. I'm really going to talk mostly about logistics. Excuse me. So first, I want to talk about why choose Cincinnati State. Cincinnati State's average class size is about 20. We are not a research institution, so our professors are actively teaching course loads in the classroom, so you have access to our actual college professors. Our CCP students are successful at about 93% of the time. The students that come to campus, come to my campus or take classes online are a tad lower. The ones who are taking classes in their high school are a tad higher, so it averages out to about 93%. CCP students, by law, have access to all the same college resources as our traditional college students. This includes tuition, tutoring and career counseling and all of those wonderful things that are available, including activities and clubs. CCP tuition at Cincinnati State is the floor rate. Now, you guys are public school students, and so that really doesn't make much difference to you, especially seeing as how Cincinnati Public Schools doesn't charge students back if they fail or withdraw from a class. But one of my favorite things about Cincinnati State CCP program is that we don't make our students wait until the end of the line to register for classes. So our CCP students have access to register for classes right at the same time as our traditional students. So you don't get the last pick unless you wait until the last minute. Go ahead. So the first question I'll address real quick is, am I ready for CCP? Am I ready to be a college student? Danny went over quite a bit of this already. There is a bit of difference between being CCP program eligible and course level eligibility. I would like to point out that just because you're admitted to the CCP program doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be allowed to take any class that you want to take. You still have to meet course level prerequisites. So if that course, like anatomy and physiology, has high school chemistry as a prereq, you have to have taken high school chemistry with a C or better in order to be able to take that class. So you work really closely with an advisor on course level eligibility. As Danny mentioned, right now it's a 3.0 GPA with a counselor recommendation or appropriate remediation free score. That might change. We're all waiting impatiently for that information. We at Cincinnati State do offer the AccuPlacer. So if you don't qualify to take the class that you want to take based on your high school performance, one of the measures we look at is 2 years of high school level English with a B average or better. And if you've taken if you've taken Algebra 2 with a B or better as well, to look at course level eligibility. So if you don't quite meet one of those marks, you can always take the AccuPlacer on our campus or even online to become course level eligible. Go ahead. But the real question is, am I really ready? So even if you've got fantastic ACT scores or a wonderful high school transcript and you've taken all the rigorous classes and you've got all the right grades, it's important to think about whether or not you're actually ready for college classes. Number one, there's going to be mature content. There's going to be adult discussion. There's going to be things that are talked about that maybe are a little uncomfortable. So it's important that you recognize that even if you're a young person, you will be in a college level classroom talking about mature things. Danny went over quite a bit of this already, but there's a difference between high school and college in the type of learning environment. High school tends to be a teaching environment, lots more coming at you, lots more opportunities to improve your grades, where college tends to be more of a learning environment. Your instructor or your professor does the lecturing, you go back and do the work on your own. College students are expected to be self-advocates, and they are expected to have really good time management skills. And I want you to think about when you're thinking about your CCP commitment, think about your extracurricular activities commitments. I know my kids had a lot of extracurricular activities, and so they participated in CCP, but at different levels of CCP based on their extracurricular activities commitment. Go ahead. So let's talk about the logistics. So let's say you want to participate in CCP at Cincinnati State. How do you go about doing that? Well, it's pretty simple stuff. You're going to go to my website, cincinnati-state.edu/CCP. You're going to click New Applicants and Apply Now. You're going to submit an online application. As soon as you submit that online application, you'll know you've done it correctly because you're going to get an email almost instantly that acknowledges receipt of your application and informs you of your next steps. Those next steps as part of the admission process is to submit your transcripts. We have any young students with us, we know that you may not have a high school transcript if you're in the 7th grade. So if you're in the 7th or 8th grade and you don't have a high school transcript yet, you'll have to submit your middle school report card. There's also a CCP authorization e-form that your counselor will complete, a CCP permission form, that discusses the mature content and any test scores if applicable. My apologies. So when do you do these things? Well, Cincinnati State has timelines, not hard and fast deadlines. We always talk about general rule of thumb. So if you're interested in taking a class in the fall semester, we recommend that you have your application completed and all of your admission documents submitted before you leave school for the summer, so before summer break. However, priority admission, that means if you want optimal registration, for priority admission, we expect that you have your applications and your admission documents submitted on or before May 1st. You want to take a spring semester class? We anticipate you do these things before Thanksgiving. If you'd like to have that priority admission, we recommend November 1st. And then for the summer, we recommend before spring break. Your application and admission documents submitted before you leave for spring break, and you'll be good to go. And that priority admission thing is March 1st. Again, just to clear things up, you only have to apply to the college one time, and you only have to submit your admission documents once per year. So once you've submitted the application one time, you don't ever have to submit that again, but you do have to renew your transcripts and potentially your scores annually, depending on what you want to take. You'll work with your advisor on that. Go ahead. Once we receive all your admissions documents, you're going to receive another email that says, congratulations, you've been accepted to the CCP program, and it's going to outline your final steps. Those are to attend a CCP orientation. Those are virtual. And it's actually a self-guided virtual orientation. The information is sent to you, the instructions are sent to you in your email. And then after that, you will attend a CCP advising and registration session. That's when you'll meet our advising team. That's when you will go over course requests and how to actually register for classes. And most of the time, students actually register for classes during the CCP advising and registration session. If you're going to be taking classes that are offered in the building at your high school, you will have an advising and registration session, but it'll look a little differently than the one that you would take if you were coming to campus or online. That information will also be made available to you in the email that's sent upon receipt of your admission documentation. Go ahead. And then just one last time, you might want to grab a screenshot of this. My name is Lori Cox Bishop. I'm in charge of the College Credit Plus program at Cincinnati State. Shara Freeman is our assistant. She is a wonderful new addition to our team, and her contact information is available there as well. And then our advising team, it's Linda Romero and Sue Kowalski and Joanne Schwetzenow, and their information is there available as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Lori. I am hoping that we have Beth join us today. I can't see anything from my side, so Beth, if you're there, feel free to unmute and type in.
I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
I can. So Beth, take it away for the University of Cincinnati.
All right. So we'll go through some of the similar information that Cincinnati State did. So this is just a quick agenda or overview of what I'll cover, but we can move right on to the next slide. We'll talk first about the CCP course options at UC. So we're talking about taking courses on a UC campus or perhaps online right alongside our other UC students. So our typical traditional students at 18 to 25 years old, students have the option to take courses at any one of our 3 UC campuses. So that includes our Uptown or main campus in Clifton, which you might be familiar with, our Blue Ash College over in Blue Ash, and then our Claremont College over in Batavia, Ohio. It's important to keep in mind students are typically limited to the first 15, but once students go beyond those first 15 hours of those more highly transferable courses, the catalog really opens up to students. So they can take any courses in our catalog so long as they meet the course prerequisites. And each student will work with their academic advisor to ensure that they meet those criteria to take the courses that they wish to choose, or wish to take rather. Next slide. So we do have a couple of options within some of your CPS buildings listed here. So at SCPA, we do offer a year-long series of American History Parts 1 and 2. At Walnut Hills, we have a foundational engineering design thinking course that applies toward the engineering program at UC. And at Withrow University High School, we're currently offering a financial accounting course with plans to potentially offer a college algebra course for next year. So these are things that we're offering in buildings, so students don't need to leave their high school campus. They can apply to our CCP program, and if they're eligible, they can take those courses right in their high school building. I think this is also a good point to mention our early IT program. The early IT program is early information technology. The University of Cincinnati has partnered with Cincinnati Public Schools to offer information technology college courses at many of the CPS high schools. So while not all of the high schools are offering CCP courses per se, students have the opportunity to take IT courses at their high school, and if they matriculate or if they end up at UC as a college freshman, that coursework that they did from the IT program will actually count as college level credit. Some of those students do often opt to take general education courses as well through the CCP program. So maybe they're doing IT courses at Hughes, but they want to go ahead and try to take things like English composition or math courses to kind of tack on to that IT coursework they're doing. And the whole point is that they could potentially finish the first year of the IT degree before they even finish high school. So it's not CCP per se, but we partner with our early IT team to offer those early college options within some of the CPS high schools. So what does our application look like? We tend to look at this as 4 main pieces. The first part is that you have to apply. Our application is done entirely online, so you'll create an account and fill out the application all online. We then need each student to complete a CCP permission slip, and that goes back to that idea of acknowledging that mature content could be covered in some of the courses that we offer on our campus or online. It gets signed by the student and parent and uploaded to the application. We then need your high school counselor to send us official high school transcripts. You can reach out to them and they send them to us electronically. It's a pretty fast and easy process. And then the last piece are test scores. We need a way to determine your eligibility, and based on the state's current standards, they want us to look at standardized test scores of some type. As has been alluded to in earlier parts of this presentation, the state is reviewing alternate eligibility criteria. We're pretty hopeful that they're going to allow us to continue to look at things like a high school GPA, and to perhaps, maybe not look so much at a standardized test score, because that would really open up eligibility for a lot of students. So for the time being, we're looking for particular test scores, can either be ACT or SAT, and if you don't have those, we will actually prompt you to take the UC placement tests in both English and math, and we will assess whether or not you're college ready through those tests. It's important to note that all application materials, including your test scores, have to be in by our published deadlines, which we'll get to in just a couple of slides. So I think we already covered this slide, so we can move next. So this is just a quick snapshot from the state's website. That little chart that you were seeing does give the minimum test score requirements that are currently required for all students within the CCP program. We'll note here, and this kind of goes back to what Lori was saying earlier, and I think Danny earlier as well, there's sort of two bars with CCP. The first bar is to make sure that you're eligible for the CCP program overall. So most of you will have to demonstrate a 3.0 GPA or recommendation from a counselor or some combination thereof. But it is important to note that if you want to take a course like calculus, or chemistry, or something that requires a slightly higher math score, you may need to retest or test just a little bit higher than the minimum requirements needed for CCP eligibility overall. And you can work with your advisor to make sure that you're obtaining those scores necessary. Right, so a couple of things to note about our partnerships with CPS. We do something called innovative program waivers at a couple of CPS schools. So on the previous slide, you saw those minimum scores that are required for some of those eligibility requirements. But at Withrow, SCPA, and Walnut Hills, we're still pending approval. We may have greater flexibility to allow students to join the program via a waiver program that the state of Ohio has provided to us. So while the state might say you must have a 3.0 GPA to participate, we have a little bit of leniency there. So we are able to look at students who have below a 3.5, say a 2.5 and above, participate, just for example, at our program that we are offering at Withrow. So just some things to consider if some of those requirements can be a little bit scary to consider at first. And next, just the important deadline dates. We do adhere to deadline dates at the University of Cincinnati. So as a heads up, our application for summer and fall will open mid-January. We hope to have that launched by January 15th. And if you would like to start taking courses in the summer, perhaps kind of, get your feet wet and take some courses either on campus or online, that application deadline will be March 15th of 22. And if your plan is to start taking courses either in your high school building, if we have a partnership with your high school, or to maybe come on campus for next year, May 1 of 22 will be the fall semester deadline. So a couple of things to keep in mind: advantages participating in CCP at UC. One thing that we've announced for this year is that all former CPS and CCP students in general will have a free undergraduate application. So for those of you who are in your 12th grade, you're applying to UC for next year, you may have noticed if you've applied already, you have a free application fee waiver, and that will extend for all students beyond this year, whether they're a CPS student or CCP in general. As mentioned, CCP students have access to all the academic supports that a traditional student has. That goes for things like tutoring, like academic advising, the Accessibility Resources Office accommodations. So if you have, for example, a 503 plan through high school, we can work with you to make sure that you have accommodations. with your faculty members on the UC campus. Students have full access to things like the university library system and computer labs. And we are really proud to be able to say that we have individualized academic advising one-on-one for every single one of our CCP students that's setting foot on our campus. So one of the things that we do require, like many other colleges, is an orientation, which is done entirely online as a group. But from there, we have students sit down with an academic advisor one-on-one in person. It could be virtually or in person, but we talk to students about their academic plans and goals to make sure that the courses they're taking are going to amount to something at the end, so that they're not just taking random courses that interest them, but that will actually apply toward a degree program of their choice. And so if you have any further questions, we invite you to visit our website. And the best way to contact us is at ccp@uc.edu. If you have any other questions, I'm sure they'll come through in the chat and we'll answer those shortly.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we will, Beth, are you able to hang out till the end, or do you want to address that? Okay,
Nope.
fantastic.
I'll be
So
here till
we'll
the
launch.
end.
Awesome. We'll launch into our next college partner, and that is Sinclair. So we have Mr. Christopher James, who's joined us today from Sinclair. So I'll give you a second to introduce yourself, and I'll move on when you're ready.
No problem. You go ahead and miss. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Christopher James. I'm the CCP. I've been in that role for just about a little under 5 years now, just approaching 5 years. But the biggest thing is, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I definitely want to tell you guys a little bit about the CCP program that we have at Sinclair and just about the process to get started. But first things first, why should you choose Sinclair? It's very simple. We have 5 campus locations all over Southern Ohio, as well as 160 online courses. So that way we give students, wherever they are, an option to take our courses. We also have over 100 transfer agreements with Ohio colleges and universities. We have over 220 degree and certificate programs. And then we actually just revamped our scholarship, where now students have 24 completed credits, as well as a 2.5 GPA at Sinclair. We can go ahead and pay for the rest of their associate's degree at Sinclair should they not finish out before they graduate from high school. So those are some reasons why to choose Sinclair. We can go on to the next one. Thank you. So with that, we want to just talk about how to get started with this. So we're trying to make the process very simple and easy for the student as well as their family. So we just ask that students go online to our website and just apply to our online CCP application. Once they apply through our application, there'll be various things that they'll have to answer, such as the content, the mature content. I'll talk about that in the next slide. But the next step after our students apply for the CCP program at Sinclair is to take a placement test. So we typically offer placement testing. Students can, of course, give us their GPA if they're a junior or senior, or they can give us their SATs and ACT scores, whichever is easiest for the student. We found that students have been able to place and be successful simply by taking our placement exams. And we offer a English as well as a math placement exam, as well as the other colleges. But we do accept students if they qualify in one or the other. If they qualify in both, great. However, if they qualify in one or the other, we will accept that also. We go on to the next one. So I talked about those scores a little bit, kind of. You guys kind of heard it. We accept scores on the ACT if there's an 18 or higher, 22 on the math for the ACT if it's a 22 or higher, 480 on the SAT, 530 on the SAT, and then with the right placer, which is our English portion of the placement exam, we take a 5 or higher, and for the math portion, which is the ALEX, we take a 46. Now there is a cut score similar to the multiple measures. So if students have a 4 on the right placer as well as their high school recommendation, they can go ahead and qualify for the CCP program. And students score in the range of a 40 to 45 on the ALEX, they can qualify through that range as well with the high school recommendation. So I briefly touched on the mature content piece. That is a new part of the application that we've added. 2 things to kind of think about when it comes with that piece. We want students just to acknowledge that they will be in a college class that could contain graphic or mature content. So they have to make that acknowledgement on the application, as well as complete a questionnaire about the mature content before they register for a class. Okay, that they make the contact on the application, and then they must complete the questionnaire once they are accepted into the program. And again, that is before they register for a course. Okay. So next steps, once you guys have applied, once you guys have placement tests, the next step will be to register for courses. I always tell students that before you register for a course, it's important to meet with your academic advisor at Sinclair. You can schedule an appointment online. You guys can meet via Zoom, or if you're close to one of our campus locations, you could go ahead to that location and have an advisor meeting as well. We'd always just say that's very important because we want to, again, reiterate the fact that we want students to take courses that are going to mean something. We want students to take courses and have the confidence that these courses will transfer to whatever college or university that they plan on going to in the future. So again, we want to make sure that they are on the right path. So the best way to do that is to meet with the academic advisor first. And then it's important to make sure that you are keeping that line of communication open with your high school counselor, so that way they are aware of what courses you're taking and then what's your plan, okay? We have some dates there, but again, those dates are, we'll accept students as long as the high school accepts students. So we have a deadline, but I think the most important date is that letter. Thank you. These are just some success pieces here. This past year, we were able to have 53 students graduate with an associate's degree before they graduate from high school. Right now, we're seeing students participating and achieving by taking these courses because we see a 92% success rate as far as students passing. And then we've been able to award over 61,000 credits. And then we have actually just surpassed 8,200 students. So we are very busy over at the CCP office at Sinclair, but again, it's all for the students. And then one last piece that I'll add is right now we are at least myself, we're pushing for students to complete short-term certificates. Those certificates are highly beneficial because again, college is for everybody. However, some students may decide to take a different path. We still want them to take and earn credit, but also we want them to get a short-term certificate so that way they can be that much more qualified for the workforce if that's what their chosen path is, okay? So with that, I'll probably take your questions later. Again, don't want to take up too much of your time, so thank you guys for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christopher James. All right, so now we have Lauren from Clark State who will lead us through a couple of things about Clark State.
Yeah, so I kind of skipped through the admissions requirements on my slides, mostly because they're the exact same as what we've talked about earlier. So we have those state minimum requirements when it comes to the testing. The 3.0 is the big thing that we see for a lot of students. So if you're checking that box, you are basically just good to go. If you are falling below that, that's when we'll have you take, we do the AccuPlacer. Like Cincinnati State mentioned, you can do it online as well. For you guys, Clark State is about an hour away, so students who are part of Cincinnati Public typically are doing some classes online with us, or we offer a lot of short-term technical certificates that they might want to make that hour drive for that you guys can knock out. So I see a lot of students walking out with like welding certificates from outside of the quick little 10-15 minute radius. That's a big one that you guys can obtain while you're still in high school. Walking out with a welding certificate, you're jumping into the workforce making really good money. Another big one is our real estate. I love talking about this with my high school students because real estate's a booming business right now as well. Cool thing about a real estate certificate is it's only 4 classes and you can knock it out typically in a school year. So like 2 semesters typically it takes students, but that's something that you guys can obtain while you are still in high school. So what I have listed here is a lot of the schools that we transfer to. So Clark State primarily is awarding a lot of certificates and associate's degrees for students. But as you guys can see, we have a giant list of schools that we're sending a lot of our students to. So I'm not going to read through all of them, but like Danny mentioned, public four-year institutions are basically guaranteed to take all of your CCP classes. So we've got great transfer partnerships. Whether you want to continue your education after CCP classes with Clark State or you want to just transfer the credits that you earn, there's lots of places that they're going to go to without any kind of worry or concern. So, like other schools mentioned, when you become a CCP student at Clark State, you get access to all of our resources as well. So I just listed some of the clubs that we have here. Cool thing about Clark State is if you look through this list and can't find a club that you like, you guys can actually start your own organization. And not only can you be in these organizations, you can hold leadership roles. So we have a student, her name's Gracie. She's actually our president of our Phi Theta Kappa, which is an honor society club. And she's actually one of our students who's walking out with a full associate's degree from Clark State this year. So she's one of our big pride and joys. We also have athletics. You do get in free to all of our sports and events on campus, so just know that that is the thing as well. Next slide. And then we also offer scholarships. So this is if you choose to continue your education after your time in our CCP program. So if you wanted to continue on to Clark State, whether you want to continue on to just a general transfer degree to go on to that four-year school after you leave us, or you're looking for to finish out your associates, complete a certificate, those are the qualifications that we have. So having a 3.0 Clark State GPA, and then having at least 30 credit hours prior to the high school completion. So that's about a full year of college classes. So that's typically what we see a lot of students walking out with. Typically, your associate's degrees are about 60 to 65 credits. So it's basically getting a year of college credit done before you enter in. And they are on a first come, first served basis. So enrollment steps, this is very similar to what every other school is saying, so I'm not going to keep going over it. But application for admission is just clarkstate.edu. There's a button that says Enroll Now. You click that. You guys are going to apply as College Credit Plus students. It is a free application, so you're not going to be out any money to apply. That amazing CCP permission slip, as well as the mature content form, you guys are going to have to fill out. Submit your ACT or SAT scores if you've gotten them, or we'll use your high school GPA, or you take our free placement test. And they can be taken at any of the AccuPlacer sites. So if there's one down in Cincinnati that's closer to you guys, you can take it there or online, like I mentioned. You don't have to truck all the way up to Beaver Creek or Springfield to take that test. You'll get the student questionnaire that'll be sent in your acceptance email. So we are 100% acceptance rate on the general admission side. The CCP has some more requirements, as like I mentioned, but as soon as you get accepted, you'll get that permission slip. And then we do have an online CCP orientation that goes through how to schedule classes, how to navigate. Blackboard is what our course navigation site is, so that's where you can see all of your classes, all of your assignments, contacts for your professors, things like that. Our average class size at Clark State is only 14:1, so very small class sizes at Clark State, whether you come in person or online. Another thing I love is that we have one person that oversees all of our CCP, so you're not going to get bounced around from advisor to advisor. We have one person, her name is Katie. She's dedicated to advising and scheduling all of our CCP students, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you have any questions, our email is there. It's pretty simple. It's just ccp@clarkstate.edu, or I listed our phone number on there. If you guys ever have any questions or need guidance or anything, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Lauren. And Gamble is a partner with Clark State. So if you are someone who attends Gamble Montessori, they offer agriculture business this year. I believe next year they're offering food science and English through Clark State. All right, and then we should have Christine. I'm sorry, it's Christine or Christina from Chatfield. Please correct me if you want to unmute yourself and do your introduction.
Hi, it's Christina. I'm Christina Mullis. I'm filling in for Alex Eby, who is the enrollment advisor. So if you choose to come to Chatfield, you'll be talking to Alex to get everything. Just like Clark State, we are not going to rehash. Our qualifications are virtually the same as everybody else. To apply for Chatfield, you'll just want to visit chatfield.edu, and on the website, you'll see apply, and it'll take you through the CCP application, and we'll take it from there. It's a very simple process for us. Just a little bit about Chatfield. I think we're the only private college on the call. Matter of fact, we're the only private Catholic junior college in the state of Ohio. And we are physically located in Cincinnati and the OTR area. And then we also have a campus in Brown County, Ohio, which is about an hour east of Cincinnati. So I doubt any of you will want to trek it out there, though you are absolutely welcome if you wanted to. And then we also offer classes online, which is available for you. Just a few things about the Cincinnati campus. We are on the bus line. We are also just a block away from the streetcar, and there is free parking. We have a small parking lot here, and then we also have a partnership with FC Cincinnati where we can do overflow parking in their garage. So if you were driving to campus, it's a safe place for you to be able to park your car, and it's free. And we're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year, so we're just excited about that. I wanted to share that with you. You can go to the next slide. So we just wanted to let you know that our priority, and pretty much everybody's priority that's on this call, but for Chatfield, you are our priority. And, you know, we have small class sizes, just like you heard some of the other colleges also say that they do. And so the benefit of the small class sizes is that you just get this great one-on-one attention. You're getting taught directly from a professor. They're going to know if you skipped class. They're going to know if you look a little off for the day. So it's just one of the really great things about the Chatfield environment is the family and the community that we have here. And the individualized approach, you heard that a few times, we do that as well. And what that means for us is that you are meeting one-on-one, not only with your enrollment advisor, whether that's on the phone, if you're going to study online or in person, but you're also going to be getting that one-on-one contact with your advisor. And we have one CCP advisor at Chatfield. He's a former English teacher. He taught English for 17 years at the high school level. So he's very comfortable and loves working with the junior high and high school kids, and our students really enjoy. So you're going to get that very individualized approach from the individuals here to make sure that you succeed. Next slide. I thought there was another slide. Here we go. So just some fun things to mention, that we do have some scholarships after high school if you choose to either be a CCP student or not be a CCP student. But if you do choose to be a CCP student, we offer $1,000 to any CCP student that enrolls at Chatfield for the year after their high school graduation. So what that means is your true freshman year of college, if you come to Chatfield and you've taken classes here, we're going to give you $1,000. We don't have a GPA requirement for that other than you just made academic progress. And you can combine that $1,000 with any of the other financial aid or scholarships that you receive. The merit scholarships are also available to you as a incoming freshman, and as well as our partnership with Cincinnati Public to offer the Chatfield Achievement Grant. And that is CPS graduates who have a 2.2 or higher GPA and also eligible for the Pell Grant. We cover rest of your tuition for the remaining 2 years. So we actually do have a student here at Chatfield that's taking advantage of that. I mean, she's getting her college education for free. So that's a really great opportunity. And the next slide. There we go. And then just a little bit about what it's like at Chatfield. We don't have sports here, so you know you're not going to have the rip and roar of the football, team and basketball teams and all that stuff. But we do have student organizations. As you can see, we have student leadership, ambassadors. We have a creative writing club at our Cincinnati campus. As far as support for you, we have in-person and online tutoring. So that is free to you 24/7. And the really cool thing about the product that we use, which is TutorMe, is as a CCP student, let's say your class at Chatfield's going perfect, but you have a high school class that you're really struggling in, you can use TutorMe for that high school class as well. So it's just available to you for any of your tutoring needs, whether that's at the college level or at your high school level. And we've also partnered with TriHealth to offer free counseling sessions to students who may need them. And we have numbers that you call. It's completely private. We do not receive names, but our CCP students can also take advantage of those free tutoring sessions. So if you're dealing with any mental health issues or anything that you feel like maybe you want to talk to somebody, talk to a professional, that's available to you as well. Just a few, this is our last slide. So just a few little things that I wanted to add. And Danny did say this, but I just want to reemphasize that as a private school, we do not charge any extra fees. So what Cincinnati Public pays for you is what that's it. You don't have, we're not asking you to give us any more money. Also, we do give the AccuPlacer, so depending on what the state of Ohio decides to do with those requirements with the GPA, if we have to go back to actually having to, have tests, that's what we use. And we do have orientation that all of our students are required to go through, and we offer them in person and online. And the very last thing that I wanted to mention, and you're really the first group I've been able to, any of us has been able to tell this to, we just signed an articulation agreement with the Christ College Nursing and Health Sciences, and we have a couple medical assisting pathway, which I need to dig in. I'm not sure that that's going to necessarily be available for high school students based on some of the classes that you have to take, but we also have an articulation agreement with the going into the health administration. So for students who do the Associate of Arts classes in focus in business, if you wanted to go and then get a bachelor's degree in health administration, which is a really great booming business right now. So we're excited about that. And I'll just leave it there because I know I'm last and everybody's tired.
Thank you so much, Christina. I really appreciate that. What wonderful opportunities. So again, feel free to reach out to us at college@cpsboe.k12.oh.us if you have general questions and weren't able to comment on our Facebook Live tonight, or you're watching this after the fact and you want to make sure you get your questions answered. We are happy to address them there. Also, if you missed the beginning slides, we do want to capture attendance for tonight so that we can inform your school teams that you were here or your student was here, so that they know to connect with you about College Credit Plus if that's something that you're interested in doing. This presentation tonight also counts as your state required counseling, which is a piece of what we as a district are required to do to make sure that you're informed of the benefits, the risks, and also what programs exist in our area. So please, again, make sure that you let us know that you were here. It's a really short, like 3-question, please tell us your name, that kind of thing. I will try to leave my screen up for a little bit so that people can screen capture that code or scan it or whatever works for them. That being said, if there were any questions or comments from Facebook specifically for our college presenters, Tisha and Javon, if you wouldn't mind to let us know.
Good, Jenny. There are a couple. Tisha was able to capture them in a list, so I'll just go down the list. There is one question, and Danny, you'll be able to answer these next few. Says, can you choose what college you want to go to if you apply for CCP? So I'll just let you briefly address that, Danny.
Yes, so you can choose which CCP, which program you apply to. You can also apply to several. So you're not limited to only applying to Clark State or only applying to Cincinnati State. You can actually mix and match and take classes from multiple providers of these classes. The only time that it's a little limited is let's say you are taking the class that's offered in your high school building. Whatever college is offering that class in your high school building is the college that's offering it. So there you don't have as much choice, but if you're actually going to a college or if you're doing classes online, you have a wide variety of choices, and you're actually not even bound by the partners that were on this call, though we certainly hope, and I'm sure they certainly hope, that you choose to take classes from them. We've had students in the past take classes from Youngstown or Columbus State Community College or a lot of places that are all over the map.
Thank you. And then the next question, now I'm going to have to interpret it a little bit. It says, can you use your CCP for college out of state? And I'm assuming they're talking about the credits accrued via CCP coursework completed.
So yes, it's a little less predictable as far as transfer of credits, but the great thing is that most colleges' admissions offices want to recruit transfer students. And so even though you as a CCP student are not technically a transfer student, a lot of colleges have worked out agreements across states to recognize credits. The only thing that I can say about that is if you're interested in a particular college, contact that college and say, what you're taking and where you're taking it, they likely will have a transfer website. So like even, for example, Northern Kentucky University has an entire website that they built where you type in what you're taking and it tells you how it's recognized at Northern Kentucky University. So refer to and contact that college you're interested in to know better how your CCP classes will be recognized at that college.
Awesome. And then this last question would be specific to, it might be specific to you, Danny. So can homeschool students attend the embedded courses at CPS high schools?
No, you'd have to be enrolled at Cincinnati Public Schools in order to attend anything at Cincinnati Public Schools. We have had students in the past choose to enroll in Cincinnati Digital Academy or in virtual high school in order to have access to CCP coursework, but that's typically online coursework or on a college campus coursework, and there is still an enrollment process into Cincinnati Public Schools in order to be considered a student of Cincinnati Public Schools and benefit from this public program.
And Danny, if I may interject, if you are a homeschool student or considering that, just for me to reiterate that you will need to apply for the state for funding. And it is not guaranteed that they will pay for a full course load like you would get if you were a public school student. So you'll most likely get something, but none of the colleges or even Cincinnati Public can tell you what that would be. It's just based on what funds the state has. But you'll want to make sure you get that in the same timeline as, you know, the other intent to participate and everything is.
And if you want to delve further into your unique situation, feel free to email that college at CPS. We would be more than happy to start a conversation with you about your student situation and how to best align with Cincinnati Public Schools. Anything else, Javon?
That is it. I will just also encourage the person I was chatting with about Ohio State. Please email us and we can get a better idea of like your specific situation and questions. And then if we need to reach out to Ohio State with regards to the specifics of their program, I'd be happy to initiate that. But I just want to make sure that I understand your needs and questions like on a deeper level, and then we can kind of go from there.
Fantastic. Well, we know that tonight is a very long evening, but I hope that, there's one more question. What classes can you take at Woodward? So currently at Woodward, we offer a class called Quantitative Reasoning. It's taught by Miss Valerie Steinhaus, and it is a year-long course to earn the 3 college credits of mathematics. I encourage you to talk to your school counselor if that's something that you're interested in. We are also looking to build out additional opportunities at Woodward. So if there's a particular class that you would like to take at Woodward, please let us know. Send us an email and we'll connect with the school counselors there to see if there's any thing we can do to better build out that option or opportunity, given that there's an interest and a need. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your participation today. Again, we are reachable at college@cpsboe.k12.oh.us. Thank you so much to our college partners for taking time out of your evening to join us. I will be sending each of you wonderful, hopefully, thank you cards for taking some time out of your evening. And we wish you all the best. So we'll stop our broadcast and hope that we see some outreach via other channels, and have a wonderful evening.